Hey there, I am walking out of the courtroom, going to my spot. I'm gonna let people find this and start joining. The Naresh Bhatt's bond hearing just ended. So let's wait a second. Let me find my little, these are my stairs that I've stolen for going live. Here, I'll show you what's going on. So we've got the reporters lining up over here. So, all right, let's wait for a couple more people to come before we get started. All right. Hello. Again, this live is regarding Naresh Bhatt's bond hearing on the charge of concealing a dead body in relation to the disappearance of his wife, Mamta Kafle. So, hello. Thank you for joining me, everyone. I actually remembered my notebook today, so I have a lot of notes that we're going to be going over. And again, it's tough. I missed the first couple minutes of the hearing because I don't live in Manassas, and I had to drop my 7-year-old off at school before I could come down here. So, all right. No, they have not found Mamta. All right. Well, we've got a decent amount of people, so let me just cut to the chase. Naresh was not granted bond. He was remanded. He was led out of the courtroom, and he is going to stay in jail until at least until the preliminary hearing on October 24th. There is a chance, of course, that at the preliminary hearing, they can throw the charge out and decide not to go to trial. But failing that, but yes, at least until October 24th, he is going to remain in jail. All right, and again, he's not in prison. He has not been convicted of anything. This was just a bond hearing, and the judge decided not to grant Naresh Bhatt bond. So that's where we are. So that's just, we're skipping to the end, giving you the information. I don't know, there's still some sort of a ruckus. I might actually, so we have some preliminary lab results, and I'll get into all of that. Like I said, I've got all my notes, but I don't know. Let's see what's going on over here. I just heard somebody yelling. I think it was just like friends seeing each other. So a lot of Mamta's supporters were here today. I believe I saw Nadia, her friend who started the Find Mamta Mamta Kafle Facebook page, but I've only seen pictures of her, videos on social media, so I'm not positive it's her, but I guess I just achieved a live goal. Thank you. I don't know. Thank you for saying that I'm doing a great job. I'm not a reporter, you guys. I'm a realtor. So I do, of course, have a true crime podcast. But here, why don't we go ahead and look at let's go over and look at the press conference before we get into everything that we learned in court today. Thank you, Sharma. That is so sweet. All right, I'm going to come and flip the camera and we can watch the press conference.
रगत भन्ने रगत देखिएर केही पनि हुँदैन रगतलाई प्रमाणमा लिन सकिँदैन बढी अहिलेसम्म छैन बढी पार्ट नपाइकन यसलाई पक्राउन पर्ने लागि भ्याक्सिन कानुनअनुसार ब्लडलाई कसरी हुन र उसले ड्राइभ गरेको छ ममता काफ्लेको गुगल पनि गरेको फोनको लागि
कति कुरा छ ल म तसँग
तिमीहरूको कतिमा बिहे गर्न सकिन्छ भन्ने पनि सोधेको रहेछ तिमीहरूको कतिमा बिहे गर्न सकिन्छ अथवा गुगलमा सर्च पनि गरेको सबै कुरा हेर्दाखेरि एआईले सर्च गरेको कसरी कोर्टले आज अनमा निकाल्नुको लागि
We're going to talk about this. I have a lot of notes on what she's talking about. Okay, you can hear here. Okay, hey. All right, let's go back to our spot and start talking about this, because now they're getting into what we heard at the hearing. Oh, I know, right? Like, he's just yapping. But okay, I'm going back to my secret little spot here, and we can talk about what actually happened at the hearing. Okay, so, oh, thank you, Janisha. I appreciate it. All right, let me get to my notes here again. I really should, like, I didn't bring a tripod or anything, so I'm trying to do this, like, while holding the phone. All right. Okay, so we're going to get into it now. Now, if you were on the live last week on Friday, and then you know that the prosecution went first, followed by the defense. In this bond hearing, it was the opposite. The defense went first, followed by the prosecution. So what I have in my chicken scratch here are my notes from what his lawyer had to say. And I do need to look up his lawyers. I kind of caught the names of the lawyers, but I don't know how exactly they're spelled. But Benalbraham, Mr. Benalbraham is something like that, is the court-appointed attorney for Naresh. Okay, so when I walked in, like I said at the beginning, I was a few minutes late. I also got stopped at security because I forgot I had a multi-tool in my purse. So it took me another minute to get through the metal detector, which is just dumb of me. All right, so when I got there, the defense lawyer, Mr. Benalbraham, was complaining that police have not turned over the body camera footage to the defense yet. So, which I do find interesting, because obviously that is a part of discovery. I'm not an attorney. I don't know what all of the rules are and timeline in terms of when they have to turn everything over for discovery. But the Commonwealth attorney did mention the body cam footage, and Naresh's lawyer said that he has not been provided that footage. Then he addressed some of the main issues that were brought up in the arraignment on Friday by the prosecution, showing that they believe Naresh is a flight risk. Number one is that he sold his car on August 19th. Now, the defense says that Naresh sold his car simply because he needed money. It had nothing, there were no nefarious intentions behind that. He had a $1,200 a month car payment. It was a Tesla. He had a $1,200 a month car payment, plus obviously car insurance. So he was selling his car because he needed money. Similarly, that is also why he was looking to sell his house. According to his attorney, his mortgage is $6,000 a month. So between the $1,200 a month car payment and the $6,000 a month mortgage, Naresh couldn't afford it. Why couldn't Naresh afford it? Naresh couldn't afford that anymore because he lost his job. All right, so he lost his job. So according to the defense attorney, basically when Naresh reported his wife missing, when Mamta went missing, he had to stay home with the baby. So he took leave. He didn't go to work, whatever it was, and because he wasn't going to work, and the lawyer said, I don't know the veracity of this, but according to a lawyer, because of the media frenzy, that's a word that he used a lot, by the way, because of the media frenzy, Naresh was let go from his job. So Naresh did not quit his job. He was fired from his job. So it does sound like he was the one who was in charge of the baby for, the whole time Mamta was missing, which we know. And, he could have had assistance with the baby, but he was the baby was with him the entire time. And he did lose his job. Now, you're going to see in news articles something that's incorrect. I don't know that it actually matters. This is just me. Oh, thank you for hugging my face. This is just me being pedantic because I'm a realtor. They were misusing the term short sale. They were saying that Naresh was trying to sell his house via a short sale. That is an incorrect use of that term. A short sale is something that is ordered by a bank when you're behind on your mortgage, right? It's like a pre-foreclosure option to help you sell the house and avoid going into full foreclosure. Now, that is not what was happening in Naresh's case. What Naresh was doing was trying to sell his house quickly. A short sale is actually a very long process, and he was just contacting two different individuals to try to do a quick sale of his house. So if you see that he was doing a short sale, that's not what was happening. He was just trying to sell his house quickly. Okay. All right. So, okay, good. God, my sound's clear now. And all the cicadas in the background, I'm sure you can hear. All right. Oh, they also pointed out that Naresh is a U.S. citizen. He only has U.S. citizenship, meaning he is no longer a Nepali citizen. And they brought that up in relation to him potentially being a flight risk. So what that means is that basically they're like, listen, if he's trying to run and hide, he doesn't have citizenship anywhere else. And if he tries to go to Nepal, as people have been, speculating if that was his goal, Nepal has an extradition treaty with the U.S. So that really wouldn't help him. And again, for those of you who are joining, this is, neither the U.S. doesn't do dual citizenship either. So so basically they're like, even if he was going to go to Nepal, we'd get him back anyway, so that really wouldn't have made much of a difference. This is what the defense is saying, right? So I want you all to just be clear right now. I'm going over what the defense said in court. Okay, then, so that was kind of their refutation of the evidence presented at the hearing on Friday in terms of him being a flight risk. Okay, then they got into the evidence that was presented on Friday about a possible murder. And Sierra, I'll get to Mamta going missing previously here in a second. Okay, so according to Naresh's attorney, he says, look, all that we've been provided with, all that the prosecution has provided the court are 3 photos showing minuscule amounts of blood, right? And he's like, in these photos, there are no drag marks like there were in the affidavit. If you looked at, one of my last videos, there were no drag marks. He's like, he's like, they're trying to say there are pools of blood. The 3 photos that they provided show absolutely no evidence of pools of blood. And what we find out later, skipping ahead from the prosecution, is that those 3 photos that he's referring to are 3 photos of blood that was visible to the naked eye, not any of the photos of the blood that was uncovered using Blue Star technology. So that's why it was just small amounts of blood, because that's not all the blood. That was just what was visible to the naked eye. All right, so he also said that there's no probable cause for the charge of concealing a dead body because they don't have a dead body. And this is, something that's been brought up a lot by different people. And this is a direct quote from Naresh's attorney. Quote, "Blood is not a body or body part," end quote. All right. So then he asked the court, what would holding him accomplish? What would be the point of that? Meaning that he's not a flight risk, he's not a danger to society. So what would be the point of holding him in jail? And he says, listen, even if that is Mamta's blood, referring to the 3 photos of the small amount of blood, even if it's Mamta's blood, it's not enough for probable cause on the charge of concealing a dead body. All right. Yeah, no bond. He's in jail. For those of you who are just joining, he was not granted bond. Spoiler. Okay. Then the defense went on to say that Naresh was only arrested because of this media frenzy. And like I said, that term comes up a lot, media frenzy. He said that the police chief, the Manassas Park police chief, is under public pressure, and that is why Naresh was arrested. And honestly, he was like, I don't even know how this got past the magistrate. He said there is no probable cause for this charge. There is no reason for him to be in jail. I don't even know how this got past the magistrate, meaning like that basically his defense is that these are trumped up charges and they shouldn't have even gotten to this point. Okay, so that is what the defense had to say. Now I'm going to go ahead and get into what the prosecution had to say. Now a lot of this is rehashing what the evidence that she gave on Friday at the arraignment, but we have some new bombshell evidence that she gave as well. Okay, so she kind of goes over the timeline. So 7/8/24 was her first day of work. So Mamta hadn't even been at this new job at the Prince William UVA hospital for even a full month, because she used to work at Inova Fairfax. So she just started this job on 7/8/24. But in the 3 weeks that she worked there, she made such an impression on her coworkers and her supervisor that when she didn't show up for work on August 1st, her supervisor knew that something was wrong. Her supervisor, even though she'd only been working there for a matter of weeks, called the police for a wellness check that day, the very day that she didn't show up for work. Thank you, Needy. Now, so the actual welfare check that Manassas Park Police did was the next day on August 2nd. The officers met Naresh at the front door, and Naresh told the officers on August 2nd that Mamta was visiting her sister in New York or Texas. Mamta doesn't have a sister in the U.S. Mamta has no blood relations in the U.S. So he knows that. He knows she was not visiting her sister in New York or Texas because she doesn't have any relatives. She apparently has family friends in one or both of these places, but he knew, he straight up lied to the police on August 2nd about where she was. That is when he also told police that that Mamta destroyed her own phone prior to her leaving. So his story is oh yeah, she's just making some casual trip to visit her sister. Also, she destroyed her phone before she left. It's BS is what it is. But he expected her back on Sunday, and I don't have my calendar in front of me. I don't know what date that Sunday was. So we're talking August 2nd is when this is happening. So it was the following Sunday. So if somebody can look real quick and tell me what date that would have been, that's when he said he was expecting her back. Okay, so then on 8/5, that is when Naresh contacted that's when Naresh called the officer who came to do the welfare check and said that he hadn't heard from Mamta, and that is when he, filed the missing persons report. Then on 8/6, the next day, he spoke with Detective Ventura from the Manassas Park Police Department. Okay, so Sunday was the 4th. Okay, thank you for that. So he was expecting her back on the 4th, is what he told police on August 2nd. But she apparently destroyed her phone. Like, whatever. Okay. So the next day on the 6th, he told Detective Ventura that Mamta's clothes, passport, social security card, and green card were all missing. Now, we know from Mamta's own Facebook posts, that her green card went missing back in June. So it's not as though she had taken the green card with her at that point, because she had been missing the green card since June, which we already know. All right, then the prosecutor got into no, he did not open his mouth in court today. Naresh did not speak. Okay, so then the prosecutor got into the July 31st timeline. She mentioned that, again, Mamta's an active social media user, and she is always in contact with friends or family. So it was very, very strange when she stopped posting on social media and when nobody could get a hold of her. That had never happened before. Even the other times that Mamta went missing. She never went missing before, by the way. She left Naresh after he abused her. Thank you for the gift, Biku. But yeah, she's never gone missing before. So then the prosecutor talked about historical data from Mamta's phone for the 4 days leading up to the 31st, when Naresh claims he last saw her. Now, I'm sorry, I apologize. It's the 4 days leading up to July 29th. During those 4 days leading up to, thank you guys. I don't know what's happening, but thank you. In those 4 days leading up to 7/29, her phone and Naresh's phone had constant contact. So they spoke throughout the day. She didn't specify whether it was calls or texts, but what she was doing was establishing a communications pattern. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys for all that. She was establishing a communications pattern, meaning that these two were in contact all day. And that's different from what he has told reporters, where he's like, oh no, we didn't usually talk because I'm not allowed to be on my phone at work, etc., etc. Mamta's cell phone data tells a different story. Okay, then so we talked about this at the arraignment, and this is a little bit different from what we heard at the arraignment. So at the arraignment on Friday, she said that the last communication from Mamta's phone was July 29th, and that starting on July 30th, it was turned off. So today, she said that the phone was off, dead, whatever. There was no ingoing or outgoing communication on Mamta's phone between July 30th and August 2nd. But on August 3rd, her phone called Naresh's phone, and then nothing. So, babe, I'm going to get into Google searches, not from his phone, but there are some Google searches that we're going to be talking about soon that are going to blow your mind. Okay. So nothing after August 1st. So nothing between the 30th and the 2nd. Her phone called his phone on August 3rd, then nothing. Then the prosecution said, listen, you can say that the pictures that we gave you of the minuscule amounts of blood came from a nosebleed, but the gigantic stain on the carpet under the bed and underneath the rocking chair, not a nosebleed. Prince William County was the one who actually did the search, and I'm referring to that big overnight search last week that we all saw on the news. That was done by Prince William County. One of the investigators on the search said that she has been doing this job since 2011 and has never seen that much blood. Now, she's referring to the blood that they uncovered using Blue Star technology, not the small amounts of blood that were visible to the naked eye. All right? Never seen that much blood is what she said. The carpet under the bed appeared to have been scrubbed. So the way that the prosecutor explained this is that the fibers of the carpet were disturbed, and it appears that it had been scrubbed. Okay. So in addition to the bed being pushed up against the closet, which we talked about on Friday, there was a glider rocking chair like you have with a newborn baby that was in front of the bed. When they moved the bed and the rocking chair, the blood stain was under both. So both of those items were covering up this scrubbed up blood stain. All right. Now, guys, listen very closely, because this is new evidence that they did not have on Friday. And this, what I'm about to tell you, is extremely important. The full lab testing for the blood that they uncovered via Blue Star technology is not back yet, and it will take time for the full lab testing to determine whose blood that belongs to. However, they were able to do a presumptive test for blood, and that came back positive. Because remember, during the arraignment, the defense pointed out that we don't even know that what was picked up by Blue Star technology was blood. And he was correct. On Friday, we did not know. But since that hearing Friday morning, the presumptive tests have come back positive for blood. Okay. In addition, do you remember looking? All right, then we saw the news footage of them bringing up rolled out carpet out of the house and putting it in the back of the van. That is the carpet from the bedroom that we're referring to. In addition to the scrubbed up kind of pink stain, the blood had seeped through to the back of the carpet. And you could see that with the naked eye. So that is what they tested. And that's how they got the positive presumptive test for blood. It sounds like it was the blood that had seeped through to the back of the carpet. And of course, because this is a carpet that's installed, not a rug that you can just lift up, Naresh didn't have access to the back of the carpet. So he couldn't clean up the back of the carpet. They only discovered that once they cut out the carpet, rolled it, and took it out. Okay. Whew, Lordy. Then they talked about the drag marks from the bedroom to the bathroom. Those drag marks started from under the glider, and there was, quote, a significant amount of blood, end quote. Then inside the bathroom, on the wall by the bathroom door, Blue Star technology found what appears to be blood spatter. I'm going to get to the Google search in a moment. Then the entire shower floor lit up, which we did find out on Friday, and that there were specks by the bathtub, like actual naked eye blood specks by the bathtub, which we did know. Now, another new thing that we learned about the blood is that there are two windows above the bathtub. One, when they went to do the search, one of the windows had a white shade. The other window didn't have any shade. The shade was removed. They found what appears to be the shade in the closet in the bedroom. On that shade, they found what appeared to be specks of blood. The presumptive tests on that shade, on that window shade, were positive for blood. So we have several presumptive tests that showed they were positive for blood in different areas of the bedroom. Okay, on July, somebody's singing happy birthday. Holly? It's somebody named Holly's birthday. Oh, Holly's the spokeswoman. Holly's the lady with the short gray hair, who is like the one who does the press conferences after these. So I guess it's Holly's birthday. It's actually my youngest son's birthday today too. Okay. So, where were we? The window shades, presumptive test positive for blood. Okay. The Blue Star, she made sure to point out too that Blue Star technology has evolved from luminol. So we talked about how luminol can also react positively to bleach in the same way it reacts positively for blood. But she said that Blue Star technology does not interact with blood the same way it interacts with bleach. Okay, then she goes back to 731. On July 31st, Mamta's phone was not connected to the network. Then on August 1st, it was connected and pinged in Loudoun County near water. Now that does tell us a little bit because I'm from Loudoun County, so this is where I actually know what's happening. All right, so we know that he bought the cleaning supplies at a Walmart in Loudoun County, and he went to a cafe in Loudoun County. There are only 2 Walmarts in Loudoun County, one's in Sterling, one's in Leesburg. The one in Sterling is closer to Manassas Park, where Naresh lives. So it would make sense that that would be the Walmart that he went to. Sterling is also home to Algonquian Park, which is on the Potomac River. So if she pinged near water, there are other smaller bodies of water around, but the Potomac River does go to Algonquian Park in Sterling. I don't know if that's what they're referring to, but just being in this area, that would be my guess. There are also plenty of cafes, in that area as well. So, so her phone pinged Loudoun County near water in 8-1. During this time period, Naresh's phone was turned off for 2 hours. So for 2 hours, we don't have data for his phone because it was turned off. But he did provide the police with receipts showing he was at a cafe near the area that Mamta's phone pinged on August 1st. Then she went over on July 30th. He bought 3 knives from the Walmart in Chantilly, which is Fairfax County. Now, the only new information we know about these knives is that it was a 3-pack of a small, medium, and a large knife. 2 of the knives have not been recovered. She didn't specify which 2 knives have not been recovered. Then July 31st is when he bought the cleaning supplies at the Walmart in Loudoun County. So he bought carpet cleaner, which was found and it was almost empty. And he bought Lysol, he bought disinfected wipes, he bought Glade plugins, and what sounds like those tree car fresheners. So that can be significant that he was buying air fresheners for the car. Okay, the warrant found the cleaning supplies in the bedroom, and the carpet cleaner container was found near that blood stain that was cleaned up on the carpet. Okay, then she gave factors to look at in terms of why he is a danger to society and should not be given bond. On February 24th, the police were called to their home for what was called disorderly conduct. Now, this lines up with what we've learned about Mamta, about that supposed incident where Naresh and Naresh's mother were beating her. That happened in February. So it would stand to reason that this is the incident that they're referring to. Okay, so February 24th, police were called to their home. The police officer spoke with Mamta. She said that her husband wouldn't give her documents, by which I mean, passport, green card, like her documents. He was withholding those from her. She said that he also destroyed her phone. And this is back on February 24th. At this point, the defense attorney objected. He said that this was not relevant and that it was hearsay. But the judge overruled his objection and lets her continue. Okay. And the prosecutor said that the court can consider what is relevant, including a history of domestic abuse. Okay, Momta's close friends were also interviewed by the police, and they didn't name which close friends, but said that these friends told police that Momta was a victim of domestic violence and that she was seen with bruises in the months leading up to her disappearance. Then we have all those Facebook posts that she made in those groups talking about how she was, looking to leave her husband and needed help. Her friends also stated that Momta was depressed. Okay, then now we're getting to the Google searches. So this is big new news, breaking news, you guys. The prosecutor said that a lot of agencies have reached out, and including the Secret Service. The Secret Service provided the prosecutors with Google searches that Naresh made on his work laptop. His government work laptop, you guys. Like, Jesus. So he had searches back in April. And this is verbatim, okay? Because I made sure to get this verbatim. How long does take to get married after spouse dies? How long does take to get married after spouse dies? Was a verbatim Google search that Naresh made on his work computer, his government laptop, in April, 3+ months before Momta disappeared. Then he had a second search, and I didn't get this one exact because I was too busy writing down the first one, but it was something to the effect of what happens after death spouse. So she said that he is a flight risk, that the house is in disarray, and that there were two individuals that he was talking to sell his house quickly. There were empty hangars and at least one packed suitcase. Then on August 15th, he told police that he was working on sending Nima back to Nepal. Nima is their daughter. Then she said, quote, "It's easy to ignore one fact or two facts. Looking at all the circumstances, this defendant was getting ready to leave." End quote. Yes, I'm going to make a recap video just like I did last week. Okay, the amount now. Okay, this is a question. This is an FAQ that I've gotten. How can you charge somebody with concealing a dead body when you don't have a dead body? The prosecutor said that the amount of blood that they found is indicative of injuries that are not survivable. And that is what we figured. And, we've kind of said that, but that came from the prosecutor's mouth this morning. Alrighty. Then she also said that the defense is conflating probable cause with beyond a reasonable doubt. She says that, yes, they haven't shared. They did not talk about the Tesla today. She said that, yes, the evidence that they have shared, obviously it's not all the evidence they have. Maybe it doesn't prove beyond a reasonable doubt, but it does prove probable cause. And she said that there's every indication that Momta is no longer alive. The Commonwealth can prove a homicide with no body, so they can prove concealing a dead body without the body as well. And despite what the defense says, she says that the amount of blood found was not, in fact, indicative of a nosebleed. There were obvious attempts to clean up large amounts of blood, and that Blue Star technology can detect the most diluted of blood samples. Okay, that was all the prosecution had to say. Then the defense got back up. They did not let Naresh go. He is in custody still. He was not granted bond today. The defense got back up and said that the prosecution doesn't understand probable cause. He was heated. Let me tell you, this defense attorney was like getting real snippy. And he said that if they don't have the elements of the charge, they can't have probable cause. He said that cleaned up blood does not show concealment because concealment is an element of the charge. And he said, where's the blue light photo? He brought up CSI, which I thought was really annoying. He's like, Judge, you've seen CSI. We've all watched movies. Where are the photos of the blue lights lighting all this up? Like, that part kind of pissed me off. Then he said that there's a host of reasons blood could be in a bathroom. And now this is where we get an insight into a potential defense. And he said, it may be proven that somebody had medical problems that could cause them to bleed all over the bathroom. So I think that's going to come up in later hearings. So keep an ear out for that. And he said that the prosecution is not providing enough context to Naresh's actions and making them seem more nefarious than they are. So for instance, we know that Naresh called police on August 5th, which was Monday, and that's when he made the missing persons report. However, he says, the defense said that Naresh texted the officer on Sunday the 4th, but that the officer was the one who didn't respond to him. So he said, and that was a way of making Naresh look more innocent, right? Because Naresh initially told the officer that he was expecting mom to come back on the 4th. And he said he texted the officer on the 4th when she didn't return. And then when he didn't hear back from the officer, then he called the officer the next day on the 5th. The next hearing is scheduled right now for October 24th. Okay. Then he said that the prosecution was grasping because they don't have any real evidence. And he says that to the judge, he said, if you apply the statute, meaning the statute that he's getting charged under, then you will have to release him. He also went on to say that it was not unusual for mom to just stay somewhere else. And so, that could be what's happening now. And he said that he just reiterated that Naresh is not charged with murder. Then he asked to move the court date up. So the preliminary hearing in this is scheduled for October 24th. The defense said that date was set without addressing the release status, and that if Naresh was not granted bond, he doesn't want his client to sit in jail for that long until the 24th. He wants him out sooner. Now, this is very smart on the defense's part because the defense attorney said on Friday that he's not confident that the prosecution's going to have all of the results from the blood evidence back in time for the October 24th hearing. So if the defense can get the hearing moved up, then it's very likely that the prosecution won't have all of those results back. And so he's betting that will lead to the case getting thrown out. And he's betting that will lead to them not being able to bring those homicide charges or any other bigger charges against Naresh. So don't be surprised if soon we see another motion filed for that court date to be moved up. So keep an eye out. I expect to see that soon because that will absolutely work in the defense's favor. Okay. Then he was remanded to custody. And so as of this moment, until that motion is filed, and there could be another hearing for that, as of this moment, he is going to be staying in jail until his next hearing, which is scheduled for October 24th. Okay, holy crap, that is all my notes. That was the end of the hearing. Hit me with your questions. What were the Google searches? Let me go back so I can get the exact wording. The exact wording of the Google searches. The first one was, quote, how long does take to get married after spouse dies? This was provided by the Secret Service. This was a Google search done on Naresh's work laptop in April of this year of 2024. What about his family? Are they being investigated? I have no idea. Yeah, the new proof that we learned about since the arraignment on Friday were those Google searches and the presumptive positive tests for blood. Yeah, okay, gosh, so much. I'm sorry. Who is that person behind the door? I don't know. He has an affair with other girl. It does appear that he was communicating with a couple of other women electronically. I think they were in Nepal, so I don't think there was a physical affair. Did he travel a baby and body? We don't know. The Google searches are very damning. I agree. The charges for him so far, it's only concealing a dead body. That is the only thing he is currently charged with. They do not allow live streams in the courtroom, no. Yes, they're very much trying to find the body, but they have not, for obvious reasons, they're not going to tell us about, what they're doing in terms of searches. We don't know if somebody else was involved in the crime or not. Naresh did not say anything in court. The Google search one more time. Quote, how long does take to get married after spouse dies? End quote. That is the one that I got verbatim. The other search was something to the effect of what happens after death of spouse. We don't know. So the presumptive test only tells you whether or not it is blood. It doesn't tell you whose blood it is. That's going to take more extensive lab testing, and we're still waiting on those results. Those could take, weeks, if not months. Again, DNA blood test, we don't know yet. It is a court-appointed attorney. I hope they have the Tesla. I think they have the Tesla, but I'm not positive on that. Her phone last pinged in Loudoun County near water. We don't know where near water, what body of water, but the Potomac River does go into Loudoun County. What happens if he doesn't confess the murder? They built a case. Most murders don't have confessions, so not a big deal. My hat. Thank you. Court updates about bail. He was remanded. No bail. We don't know where Momta's phone is. It has not been recovered. I don't know what their searches are planned for the river. We do not know who was in that video. We don't know what data they got from the car. The baby is with child protection. The next hearing date is October 24th. They're singing happy birthday to Holly again over my shoulder. All right, what other questions do we have? Yeah, the dad did say in the interview that he did hit Momta when she was pregnant and after. He is in jail until his next court date. As of right now, I think this case is likely to go to trial. I was honestly expecting him to be let out on bond today. So I think that because he wasn't, they're only going to be gathering more evidence between now and the preliminary hearing. So based on the fact that he wasn't granted bond, I don't think that this case is going to get thrown out at the prelim. So I think that there's a good chance that if he doesn't plead guilty, that this would go to trial. They searched his cell phone, but I don't have any more information than what I already gave you. As far as I know, Naresh's parents were in Nepal and still are in Nepal. They probably won't release the CCTV footage. They typically don't do that around here. I don't know what he said about moving the bed to block the closet. They have not found Momta's body. Naresh didn't speak. Naresh didn't say anything, and his lawyer did not address the Google search at all. I don't think he's smarter than we think. I'm sorry, I don't. We don't know if his daughter was with him when he was shopping. They didn't say. Okay, what's my theory? My theory from the beginning is that he killed her. That he planned this. And I think that between those April Google searches and the buying the knives, I think that he's been planning this for a while. And as a lot of people pointed out, I think he didn't think anybody would give a shit. Sorry for my language, but I don't think he thought anybody would care. That Mamta's an immigrant, that Mamta doesn't have ties to this country, and he thought that he could just sweep it under the rug, meet a new woman, move on with his life. But he was wrong, because we do care. We're here. I don't know Mamta. I'm nobody. I have a podcast, sure, but I'm a realtor. Like, I am just a lady who is here, but I care, and I care very deeply. And I care very deeply about this woman getting justice. Sorry. Okay, yes, police went to Mamta's house on February 24th for what was described in court as a not a domestic. It was explained as something else. Sorry, I'm just trying to look at my notes here. Disorderly conduct. Thank you. This is emotional. No, he is not at his house. He is in jail until the next hearing. Thank you, guys. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what Prince William County's rules are in terms of televising actual trials. I don't know if that's something they do or not. Yeah. He purchased the knives on July 30th. Okay, some people are asking about the Google search, because the Google search is one of the biggest pieces of evidence. I will go over it, even though we've gone over it a couple times. The Google search was from April on his work laptop. And I know I keep on harping on the work laptop part of it, but that's just to prove, just to show how stupid and arrogant this guy is. Word to the wise. Listen, we're in Northern Virginia. We are outside of DC. A lot of people in this area work for the government, either directly or as a contractor. I think he was a contractor. I don't think he directly worked for the government. But regardless, the federal government, when they issue you a phone or a laptop, don't go thinking that that's private. That is not your property. That belongs to the United States government. And if they think that you're shady, they can look at it. They can look at it at any time. So yeah, he did this idiot did this on his work laptop in April, searched how long does take to get married after spouse dies. That's the direct quote. And then something to the effect of what happens after death of spouse. Yeah, exactly. Even groceries. You're smart. This is Prince William County Court. Okay. So, sorry. I think there might have been another question, but I got off on a tangent about him being an idiot and using his work laptop. No. Oh my God. Is it true if you work for the government, some of your crimes are forgiven? Absolutely not. No matter what Trump may lead you to believe. Sorry, we don't want to talk about that. No, absolutely not. I do believe they did retrieve the Tesla. We don't have any more information, though. Yeah, poor baby, indeed. I don't know if they made it to the U.S. or not yet. I knew they were on their way. You're right. He should only need to divorce her if he wanted to marry another woman. I mean, what is with these guys? Divorce exists. You don't need to kill. You just get a divorce. She had a TikTok when she got her new phone in the mail. Oh, she did a video about it. Oh, I didn't know that. What will happen next? What will happen next is a preliminary trial. This trial hearing, a preliminary hearing. On October 24th, he's going to have a preliminary hearing. At that hearing, that's going to be a big one. We're going to learn more evidence, because that is when the prosecution and defense are really going to lay out the meat of the case. because that is when the judge is going to decide if this merits a trial or if they're going to dismiss the charge. She was active on Facebook and TikTok on July 28th, correct? And she was calling her friends as she was texting them. Yes, he was in the United States Army for 6 or 7 years. Oh, that was the other thing that we learned during this hearing. And you all who work for the government are going to love this. He has a security clearance. So this dummy got a security clearance and still used his work laptop to make those searches. I don't know who was in the background. The next hearing is October 24th, but it sounds like the defense is going to put in a motion to move that date up. I'm sorry. I know. Yeah, you can go to the hearing. I'm not related to this case in any way. The hearings are public. Oh, and the hearing was definitely busier today than it was on Friday. There are two things that determine whether or not you're going to be granted bond. Number one is whether or not you are a danger to society, and number two is whether or not you're a flight risk. The judge determined that he met both of those criteria. So according to the judge, Naresh Bhatt is a danger to society and a flight risk, which is why she remanded him to custody. All right. Any other questions? I don't know if he had supporters or not. But what I will say is that there were some audible gasps when the prosecutor read those Google searches. They have not found her. So a security clearance is something that there are different levels of security clearances, and a lot of government jobs and a lot of government contracting jobs require them. And in order to get one, they do a background check, a pretty extensive background check, including a polygraph, and that allows you to get access to classified information. A security clearance is a big deal. I don't know where his parents are or what's going on with his parents at all. It's a public defender. Police can try to interrogate him. His lawyer's going to tell him to shut up, so he's not talking. What if they find the body before October 24th? Then I think they'll bring homicide charges up before October 24th. I have heard that the mother-in-law hit Mamta. That is what Mamta's father said in an interview, but that was not brought up in court. All right, people are asking about the Google searches again. The Google searches on his work laptop were, quote, "How long does take to get married after spouse dies?" And then something to the effect of what happens after death of spouse. So in a U.S. courtroom, the defendant sits in the very front of the courtroom and faces the judge. So we can only see the back. I was in the back of the courtroom, and he just remained still and quiet the entire time. He was in an orange jail jumpsuit, and I saw him from the side as he was being let out in handcuffs, and he was just stoic, not really showing any emotion. So a lie detector, if he agrees to take a lie detector, I don't think he would. He can, but lie detectors are not admissible in court. No, he has not revealed where he hit her. No, Virginia does not have the death penalty. So somebody asked if he pleads guilty, will he receive the death penalty? Regardless of whether he pleads guilty or is found guilty, and this is homicide. So that's not talking about what he's currently charged with. The largest sentence he can get for the current charge of concealing a dead body is, I believe, 5 years in prison and a $2,500 fine. If he is charged with homicide and either pleads guilty to homicide or is found guilty of homicide, he will not be given the death penalty. Virginia no longer has capital punishment. They didn't say anything about the knives and supplies purchased today. The defense, the prosecution brought it up. The defense didn't say anything. My screen just went dark. Hold on. Oh, I need to verify. Sorry, TikTok made me verify that I was still doing the live. Yeah, Google search was in April. I don't know. Somebody, I think his LinkedIn profile is still up if somebody wants to look that up. I don't have it in front of me. But I think he was a government contractor, and he was in the U.S. Army for 6 or 7 years. He tried to become a Fairfax County police officer, but he washed out after like 22 days. I've heard that is because he failed the driving test, but that's not confirmed. Okay, what happens if it's proved he was mentally ill? That would be not guilty by reason of mental disease or defect. If he is found not guilty, number one, we don't know if that's the defense that he's going to use. So hypothetically, if he is charged with homicide and he does use that defense, and the judge agrees, and the jury agrees, and he's found not guilty by mental disease or defect, then he could be sent to a psychiatric hospital instead of prison. But again, that's really putting the cart in front of the horse. We're not there yet at all. But nothing in these first two hearings spoke to mental illness at all. So it doesn't appear at this point, and that could change, that his defense is laying the groundwork for that defense, for a mental disease or defect defense. The groundwork that they were laying, that I mentioned earlier, was that somebody might have a medical condition that caused all of that blood to be in the bathroom. That was the only kind of thing that I saw them starting to lay the groundwork for. Manta has not been found, no. I do not know if they've started searching the water. No indication based on these hearings that there's an accomplice. He has not been found mentally ill. I just want to make that clear. He's also no longer in the military. The maximum punishment if he's found guilty of first-degree homicide would be life in prison. It sounds like he was fired. They didn't give it an exact date, but it sounds like he was fired, within like the first week or two of Manta being missing. Okay, he worked in GDIT. Hold on, I lost that. It's a company a lot of U.S. government agencies work with. Yeah, so he was in IT. So it does sound like he was an IT contractor for the government. That's the impression that I've gotten. So, okay, is there a lawyer from Mamta's side? So Mamta's side is the Commonwealth of Virginia. So Naresh has a lawyer for him, for his defense, and it is the Commonwealth of Virginia who is the plaintiff in these charges. And that's how it is in criminal cases. It's not in cases like this. So it's not Manta herself. It is the Commonwealth of Virginia. So the attorney is a state's attorney, a Commonwealth's attorney. Yes, if he pleads guilty, if he doesn't plead guilty, if he's found guilty, if he's found innocent of this charge, he can still be charged with murder. And that is why, in my opinion, the prosecution started with this charge. Because if this charge gets thrown out, if they lose, if they, X, Y, and Z, they can still charge him with homicide or any other related charges. No, he has a court-appointed attorney because he says he's broke. The metric of the 91% of not being a flight risk came from a pre-trial assessment, and that is something that his attorney brought up at the Friday hearing. Yes, the state is bringing charges against him. Yeah, I'm going to do another rundown video with all the evidence. Who pays for his lawyer? Taxpayers. So in the U.S., everybody is guaranteed in the Constitution to have representation in court. So if you can't afford an attorney, then you are appointed an attorney, and that's what happened in Naresh's case here. We don't know if he committed the murder or not. I mean, but prosecution believes that they have evidence. The body is not found now. I don't know about the tenants. I honestly do not know a thing about these tenants. And tenants have not been brought up in either of these hearings at all. I don't think Monta's mother will get custody of the child because there's nothing in place for her to stay in the U.S. So I don't believe she would get custody. I don't know if she'd be allowed to have the baby. No, it doesn't look like Monta's mother is going to be able to get permanent custody. Yeah, I mean, his lawyer is happy to defend him because that's the job of a defense attorney. I mean, his entire job is to defend his clients vigorously and to the best of his ability. And the child cannot be sent to Nepal because she's a U.S. citizen. And her father is still here and hasn't been convicted of anything. So you can't just terminate his parental rights and send this girl off to Nepal. I know for a fact that they had CCTV footage from the Walmarts because she said that, but beyond that, we don't know what they have. Yeah, inside the house, I did a video on that. We don't know who that is. Yeah, even if the grandmother comes to America, the child will stay with CPS and will be given to a foster family. But who that foster family is the question. Mom's friend Nadia and another friend are petitioning to become the foster family. There's more yelling. Oh, shit. There's a very angry lady up in front of the courthouse. I think it's completely unrelated to this. Everybody's packed up. It's really just me out here now. All the reporters are gone. Yeah. I think it's just an unrelated angry lady. It's a courthouse, emotions are high. I don't know if his daughter was with him at Walmart. I don't know if Nadia can adopt her. Again, this is all what they're trying to figure out. And it does take time to deal with custody issues. We don't know what the neighbors saw. We know that they were interviewed, but we don't know what they saw. He might get a discounted sentence if he pleads guilty. He could potentially get a deal. If I had to guess, I would think that any deal that he would get, any reduction in sentence, would be contingent on him giving them the location of Momta's body. I don't know if Nadia wants to adopt the baby. I am not going to speak for Nadia. Virginia has not charged him with homicide yet. Yes, she was in several groups saying she was scared of him. There are indications that he might have been communicating with other women online. We don't have the death penalty in Virginia, so he's not going to get the death penalty regardless. He did not get bond from today's hearing. He is in jail. We do not know if there are other people involved. No, the police cannot execute physical punishment against him to get him to talk. Their marriage, I believe, was arranged, yes. I don't know about the tenants, and the tenants have not been mentioned in either of the hearings. Yep, he sold his car because he couldn't afford the $1,200 a month payment. That's what his lawyer said. They have not found her now. Yes, he should have just let her go and settled on divorce. She wanted to divorce him. It's not like he wanted to go off and like start a new life with these women. And she was begging him to stay. She wanted to leave him, but he couldn't allow that to happen. Yeah, that's the concealing the body is the only charge right now. No, it is not possible to legally put him in Nepal. He's not a citizen of Nepal anymore. He's a U.S. citizen, so they can't bring him back there. I don't know anything about this possible crime site 2 hours away from his location. If you want to DM me, you can. My email is also in my bio. He was fired because he stopped going to work because he was allegedly caring for his baby. No, I didn't see the baby. We don't know yet who's going to keep the child. Yes, they said in court that he is only a U.S. citizen. He does not have dual citizenship. Sorry, a bug flew on me. He was in the Army for 6 or 7 years. I don't know what his disability was, but he is a disabled Army veteran. The police have not found the 2 missing knives, no. He does not have Nepali citizenship. There are a lot of ways to become disabled in terms of being in the military in this country, and a lot of those are not visible, so that's pretty common. Oh, so it was a love marriage, it was not an arranged marriage? Okay, thank you for that correction. So okay, let me scroll back up. If he gets the punishment for concealing the dead body, who will get the punishment for killing her? Now, he can still be charged with homicide. If I had to speculate, I would say that they haven't brought the homicide charges yet because they don't have the body, but more importantly, they don't have the DNA evidence back from the blood. And that's going to be key because it's one thing to charge somebody with murder without having the body, but not having that evidence, not being able to prove that all that blood they found was Mamta's, like they need that before they charge him. So regardless of what happens with this charge, whether he's guilty, innocent, whatever, he can still be charged with homicide at any time, at any point. I don't know if they have used dogs or not. I really don't know. And I don't know if they've recovered the data from the Tesla. Yeah, Loudoun County might have evidence because that is where her phone last pinged on July 31st. It could take weeks or months to get the DNA back. We really don't know. We don't know who the person behind him was. The defense says that there's a chance she could be alive. They'll find that it's Mamta's blood through DNA testing, so they will have either taken personal items of hers that have her DNA, such as a hairbrush or a toothbrush, or if for whatever reason they couldn't get those items, they would test the DNA of her baby, and they could do a familial DNA test. If the body's found in Loudoun, would it be transferred to her court? No. I think it would stay here in Prince William County because this is allegedly where the crime occurred. Unless they can show that the crime, the homicide itself, happened in Loudoun County, then it could get kicked over to our courts. And I say our courts because Loudoun's where I live. His neighbors do have cameras, and the police have pulled the footage. We don't know what they show, though. Thank you. I don't think his parents are here, but I'm not sure. Unfortunately, I don't have an update on the baby either. Yes, he did know that Mamta wanted a divorce. He actually said that to police when they came for the welfare check. He said that they were in the process of a separation, and that's why he wasn't worried that she took off. Yes, if he admits his crimes to the attorney, they can still try to save him. But what I will say is the attorney can't allow perjury in court. So, for instance, if Naresh tells him that he killed her, like, he can't put Naresh on the stand saying that he didn't kill her. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm going to attend the next hearing. No, just concealment. The next hearing right now is October 24th, but the defense is probably going to try to get that date moved up. They have not found her. We don't know about if they've used dogs or not. The courtroom was packed. It was much busier than it was on Friday. I don't know if they're going to bother with a lie detector or not. They're not admissible in court. We don't know if they found the Tesla history. Yes, I agree. He was trying to flee, and that is why they filed this charge. I do not believe the grandparents will get custody directly because they are not citizens and they're here on an emergency visa. I don't know the ins and outs. I am not an attorney, I'm certainly not an immigration lawyer, so I'm not exactly sure. But no, I don't believe they can get custody of her. Yeah, they have all of his cell phone data. He did not get bail. They have not found her. Thank you, everyone. He sold his car on August 19th. Thank you. The background of the news video being his mistress. From what I've seen, the women he was talking to are back in Nepal. But, I mean, I obviously don't have access to his, phone records and everything. So he could have been, having an affair locally. I don't know. Yeah, the prosecution's definitely trying to show that this was a premeditated homicide. Yeah, I don't know about the brother. The only way that we'll really get updates in between now and October are if new evidence comes to light or if they move up and have additional hearings. I live here. I'm from here. I live here now. He did not get bond, no. Mamta's mom is coming to the U.S., yes. No, they cannot bring the grandchild back to Nepal. She's a U.S. citizen. Yes, I am. So I am going to do a podcast on this case. We actually did one 2 episodes ago. So 2 Fridays ago, whenever that was, we did a podcast on Mamta's case. And then this Friday, I'm going to do an update episode talking about everything that we've learned in the past 2 weeks and going over what we've learned in these 2 hearings. So the podcast is called And Then They Were Gone. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple Podcasts. You can get it anywhere that you listen to podcasts. I don't know if it's a Nepali family. Who are you? Never saw you before. I don't know, man. You're on my live. If they don't find the body, they could still charge him with homicide. I agree. Things don't add up with him, and his stories did continue to change. No, they didn't ask him anything. There's no testimony given in these hearings. So nobody was asked any questions. The defense says that there's a chance she's alive. Yeah, there was additional information that I went over. And again, I'm going to do a video going into that I'll post after this live. He was about 9 years older than Mamta. He's 37. He's a rough 37. Let me tell you. Like, listen, I mean, I've been staring at these forehead wrinkles the entire time I've been doing this live, but like, I'm older than him and he looks rough. Yeah, there's always a chance. I mean, basically, if they can't prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Mamta is no longer alive, then he can't be convicted of concealing a dead body, if there isn't one, you know. Thank you. Yeah, I know, only 37, right? Like, woof. So, they wouldn't charge him. That's why they haven't charged him with homicide yet, because they don't have enough evidence yet. They really need the blood evidence to come back from the lab before they can do anything with that. And of course, they're going to hope that, you know, they can find her body before then too, because it would absolutely make it easier if they do find it. He was denied bond today. His parents are in Nepal, as far as I know. The next hearing, as of right now, is October 24th. New hearings could come up sooner, though. Police have tracked his phone. Don't know if they've searched the water. I don't know what's happening with the baby. They haven't asked him anything. They don't. There were no questions or testimony given in court. They have not found her. I assume the baby's okay. No, I didn't interview Naresh. He's in custody. What is that? Thanks. They're taking, because lab work takes time. I mean, it's very common for blood tests, DNA tests to take weeks or months. We don't know where the 2 knives are that are missing. They're still missing. I don't know about the 110 miles. The indications that he was having affairs came from messages that somebody posted online. He did have a translator, just like he did on Friday's hearing. I don't know anything about the lodgers. So this case is going to move forward with the preliminary hearing, and that is when the prosecution is going to lay out more of their evidence. So we're going to go into further details of the evidence that they've already presented in the last 2 hearings. At that point, the judge is going to determine whether or not there's enough evidence to go to trial. If there is, then they'll set a trial date. If there is not, then he will be released, pending additional charges. I think the Tesla's been recovered. I'm not positive. You have to have a lawyer. That's part of the Constitution in the U.S. You have to be provided with an attorney in all criminal cases. She has not been found. Don't know who it was in the background. He's not trying to pretend he doesn't speak English. And I'm glad you brought that up, though, the issue with the translator, because this was brought up on Facebook after the last hearing. That is strictly a cover your ass move. Naresh speaks English. We know he speaks English. However, English is not his first language. So it's very common for people involved in court cases, especially defendants, to be provided with translators when English is not their primary language. That way, his defense attorney can't come back and say and do an appeal based on him not understanding the court proceedings. So having the interpreter is strictly to just cover their butts. I don't know what his siblings look like, so I have no idea if they were there or not. All communication between him and his lawyer is confidential, so we have no idea what he said to his lawyer. Yeah, I mean, I think absolutely, they would, I think in this particular case, if the DNA comes back as Monta's from all of that blood evidence in the bedroom and the bathroom, I think they'll still charge him with homicide even if they don't find her body. Yeah, that August 3rd ping was really interesting because we were told on Friday at the first hearing that everything stopped on her phone after July 29th. But in this hearing, the prosecutor said that Mamta's phone called Naresh's phone on August 3rd. August 3rd was Saturday. That was the day before he told the police he was expecting her to come back from her trip. So what I would be wondering is if he made that call in order to set up an alibi, basically saying, oh, Mamta's alive. She called me on the 3rd. I guess she decided not to come home. I think he was trying to be slick there. We don't know how long it'll take the forensic reports to come. It could be weeks or months. Yes, they have all of his phone records. My foot is asleep. Yeah, I saw the man in the background. It could have been anybody. He knows IT. I'm sorry. I've got this obviously is not funny, but like stupid criminals make me laugh. So it said, there was a comment. Oh God, I lost it. Oh yeah, he knows IT. I believe he did set up. He knows IT, yet he was dumb enough to do Google searches on his government-issued laptop in April saying, how long does it take to get married after spouse dies? So, real criminal mastermind over here. Jesus Christ. And again, I'm not making light of this. Like, please, please, please don't think I'm making light of this. But, like, what a dumbass. All right, guys, let's wrap it up. This is a good question. If Naresh admits guilt with his lawyer, can his current lawyer still argue his case? Yes, but he would have to be very careful about it. He can recuse himself, however, if he feels that what he knows won't allow him to provide a vigorous defense of his client. And then it would be assigned to a different lawyer and would probably cause delays in the timeline. I have not asked Naresh anything. I can't talk to that guy. But his lawyer said he was trying to sell the house because he has a $6,000 a month mortgage and he's broke because he doesn't have a job. Yeah, I agree that they should be checking Great Falls where he has been fishing. He sold the Tesla because he has a $1,200 a month car payment and couldn't afford it. That's what his defense lawyer said. I only saw the back of his head because he was facing the judge, but he was pretty stoic. Didn't really show much emotion from what I could see. He's not charged with domestic violence because basically domestic violence, I think it's, again, I'm not a lawyer, but I think it would be hard to charge him with that without a complaining witness, meaning Mamta. So if Mamta isn't there to say, yes, he hit me, it's really hard for him to be charged with that. We don't know what's going to happen to the house. If he can't afford to pay for it, he could appoint a power of attorney to handle the sale of his house from jail. So my guess would be that he would still try to put the home up for sale, so he can recover the money because he can't afford the mortgage. He doesn't have a job, and he can do that from jail. Yeah. I don't know if anybody, as far as I know, the house is empty right now. Well, yes, I wonder if you could do that if it's a potential crime scene. The police would have to release the house, which I don't know if they've done or not. But after that, yes, you could sell it. Yeah, that was back in, I believe, January, February, when when according to Mamta, he took $9,000 out of their joint account. Yeah, no, thank you. I want to scroll back up. That man was basically abusing her every way possible, like basic things, not having a job, wife paying. Absolutely. We're not just talking physical abuse here. We are talking emotional abuse. We are talking financial abuse. He was withholding money. He was not letting, I shouldn't say he wasn't, we don't have proof that he didn't let her drive. That could have been her decision. We don't know. But what we do know is that she did not have access to her own transportation. She did not drive. It sounds like she didn't have access to a lot of her own money. It sounds like she didn't have access to a lot of, the marital assets. He said that if she tried to leave him, he'd give the baby away. Like, he used that baby as a weapon against her. Like, he was truly abusing her, basically in every sense that you could. Yeah, she should call 911 a long time ago. We don't victim blame here. That's not what we're doing. $9,000. Mamta made a Facebook post back in like January or February, I think, about how she was trying to leave her husband and he drained their joint bank account and took $9,000. No, that's not true. So, okay, I'm a realtor, so I'm gonna talk about this. But the mortgage is $6,000. If the house is not paid off, they can't transfer the house. Yes, they can. So basically, what would happen? Let's say he owes $500,000 on the house. Let's say he sells it for $550,000 after all of the fees. So that $50,000 profit would go to all of the fees, taxes, and anything that he still owes the mortgage company. Yeah, I'm gonna do a separate video and give you guys the rundown of what happened in court. What time is it? Dude, it's 11 o'clock. I've been on this live for an hour and a half again. I don't know anything about life insurance. That hasn't come up in the hearings. Yes, the house is only in his name, not Mamta's. Okay, guys, it's been an hour and a half. I'm going to hop off. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for caring about Mamta. I'm going to hop off of this live, and then I'm going to make a rundown video and go over everything that we learned today, especially the new evidence. So for those of you who are just joining late and, missed a lot of it, just, follow me, and the next video I post will be a rundown of what happened at the bond hearing. But what we know is that Naresh is still in jail. He was not granted bond today. Thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate it. And I'm glad that this has been helpful for you. And feel free to keep on asking questions. All right. Bye.